What's up, YouTube? Nathan back with another video presentation. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. As I stated in my previous video, I haven't forgotten about the MLB The Show, a 10th inning program. I have forgotten about my NFL review video. I haven't forgotten about that. But this subject, I purposely sat back to watch. I sat back and you know what? I really wanted to see what the reaction was going to be. No, excuse me, what the response was going to be in the aftermath of what Justin Turner did in the midst of the Dodgers winning the World Series. And Trevor Bauer, pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds, proves my point. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to leave a couple links in the description below. I'm going to leave a link to Dodgers Nation, and I'm going to leave his Twitter. Well, his tweet. There's a thread where he was commenting. And I'm going to read some of that to you right now. He starts off by saying, typical MLB problem here. A problem exists, blame the players, take no responsibility. Take note of public perception. Launch a partisan investigation to appease the public. Has anyone bothered to consider how a player was supposed to be protected by the bubble protocol supposedly? And then goes on to say some other things. And listen, I love Trevor Bauer. He's one of my favorite pitchers. If I was starting a team, he's a guy that I want on my rotation as a pitcher. But Trevor Bauer's missing the point. We're not denying the role that MLB played a role in preventing this from happening. We're not denying that, Trevor. What we're saying is that you have Justin Turner, who tested positive for a virus, which you don't know how he got. None of us do. Was at the game and should not have been there. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, Trevor, before the season started, the players, Tony Clark, the owners, couldn't really agree on the bubble system. And you have multiple players sitting out for multiple reasons. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be wrong here, but Trevor, how come you're not calling out any of his teammates with Justin Turner? Because 10 members of the organization now have tested positive for COVID. You see, that's the problem. Point the finger at Major League Baseball, but don't want to hold your colleagues responsible. That gets a pass. I get it, and I understand y'all don't like Rob Manfred. I understand, I get it. When he made that, this is just a piece of metal comment, and I got backlash. I get it, y'all don't like the man. I understand, I get it. But I'm not gonna let this slide. What Justin Turner did was irresponsible, selfish, and he needs to be held accountable for that. Do I think he needs to be suspended for a season? No. Do I think he needs to be fined $10 million? No. But there needs to be some type of accountability. He should not have been there. Plain and simple. And that's what Trevor is not understanding. Now, I don't like the fact that his test was reported by Fox Sports. I don't like that. And I don't know if Justin Turner agreed to that. But my first question is how come Dave Roberts didn't check him and say you shouldn't be here? Go back to the hotel. How come none of his teammates that are on the field jumping around, hugging, crying with each other? We won the World Series. Check it. We're going, why are you on this field? Get out of here. Go back to the hotel. You just tested positive. Y'all don't check that. Y'all give that a pass. And you point the finger at Rob Manfred in Major League Baseball. That's okay. But you can't check the Dodgers. You can't check Dave Roberts. You can't check Clayton Kershaw. They get passes. They're the victims. And what Trevor Bauer says here, I'm going to read some more of this. Now I get it. He said, now I'm not saying players did nothing wrong here, but I don't know what actually happened. I wasn't there. But to blame this solely on a player, regardless of what happened, is asinine. Who's saying that? All I'm saying is that no one's holding Justin Turner accountable. You're pointing the finger at Rob Manfred, and yet you're not holding Justin accountable. You had Mookie Betts come out and say he has every right to be out there. You had Andrew Freeman, who virtually was justifying that. That got passes. That got a pass. But I sat back, and I wanted to see. I wanted to see what was going to be. If there was going to be somebody that was going to sit back and call this out. And when I saw it come on across my phone that 10 members of the Dodgers tested positive for COVID, I waited. I waited for somebody to say something. All I've heard was crickets. That's all I've seen. So let me ask you a question, Trevor. Because I'm fair and balanced. I'm fair and balanced like Fox News. What is your plan for next year? Because I really think there needs to be a system in place. I mean, let's just call it what it is. The way that the season was headed, I was surprised it even lasted 60 games. And also, too, Trevor, since, just to point this out, during this season, your colleagues across, around the league showed made a lot of irresponsible choices, but you gave that a pass. Guys couldn't agree on a bubble because you just didn't want one. So, what's the plan for next year? What's the plan? Is there going to be a bubble? Are y'all going to sit down and figure and hammer this out? Or are you going to point? Or you going to point the finger? Or are you just going to do what you guys are doing, not have a system, and then blame it on Rob Manfred too? I'm trying to get y'all to understand. This does not get a pass. Because what essentially you're seeing here with Trevor Bauer making these comments, he's essentially giving Justin Turner and the Dodgers a pass and pointing the finger at Major League Baseball. When I'm trying to tell y'all, no, it's multiple parties, it's multiple people in the situation. Major League Baseball, its owners, Tony Clark, and the players. They all have equal responsibility in the situation. Well, no, let's point the finger at Rob Manfred. And I get it. I understand. Y'all don't like Rob Manfred. I understand. I get it. But there's no way in heck y'all should be justifying what Justin Turner did, because you can't justify that. But yet it got a pass. I also wanted to say this right here. He said something. Hold on. Right here. in the dugout, etc., is ridiculous. By MLB logic, players are allowed to sit next to each other in the dugout, but not spraying champagne together after winning, unless they're making the claim that the champagne helps spread the virus. This is an absurd policy strictly implemented to, again, continued here, to appease public pressure. Now, with all that being said, I'm not saying players did nothing wrong here, because I don't know what actually happened. I wasn't there. But to solely blame this on the player, regardless what happened, is asinine. You're not getting it. I understand what you're saying. You have a good argument there. I understand it. But you're missing the point. We're not talking about you throwing champagne. We're talking about a guy who should not have been there in the first place. And who do you point the finger? You point the finger at not just Major League Baseball, but the Dodgers too, Trevor. That's who you point the finger at too. Because you have a manager who should have checked him, and you have teammates who should have checked him, but they get passes, and y'all, and that's not right. You're creating a problem because now look what Justin Turner has now done. He put those guys in a position where they could get COVID. I mean, it's not hard to connect these dots, people. It's not hard. I'm not speaking another language. It's right there in your face. It's coming on the center of the plate. But that's okay. Justin Turner running on the field and celebrating with his team. Well, he's been there. He's part of that core. What? Don't take away his moment from celebrating. No one's saying that. He tested positive. He should not have been there. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. I'm not taking away him from celebrating. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there needs to be accountability and there needs to be responsibility as well. But what this situation shows, it shows again, and I said in that video, that we have people out here that are selfish and don't think about the consequences. And because of Justin Turner's actions, and because of not just Major League Baseball, but the Dodgers as well, because both parties are at fault. Look what happened. But close the shutter on the Dodgers. That gets a pass. Put the finger at Rob Manfred in Major League Baseball. That's not right. These two videos, I purposely sat back. I wanted to see reaction. Didn't see a damn thing. Didn't see it. Didn't see it at all. And with this right here, this was icing on the cake. And I want to see what's going to happen next year for baseball. I want to see this. I want to see if there's going to be a bubble. I want to see that. I want to see what the plan for next year is going to be. I want to see it. Like I said, I'm going to leave his Twitter thread in the article for Dodgers Nation in the box below. Now, there's other two videos. I've not forgotten them. Probably Sunday night. Make those videos. I'm going to get those out to y'all. But these two videos, I sat back on purpose. I watched. I waited. I wanted to see it for myself. I wanted to see if anything was going to come above it.